Hey, and welcome to. Oh my god, I can't remember where we are anymore. Where are we? Who are we? Who am I? Hey, and welcome to Chef's Twitch stream. I've like pre-programmed my brain now to do welcome to Chef Comp 2021. That's where my brain was going.
Oh yeah, right.
That's literally what was my intro was going to be. Welcome to Chef Comp 2021. And I was like, no, we're not doing this today. Like just been doing it so often frequently. We've been doing the recordings for Chef Conf, and it's been really, really cool. We've got some super interesting talks to do, and I'm stoked to be. I'm going to be recording with you this afternoon. Yours,
yes,
it should be really, really cool.
It is.
But yeah, that was just my brain is so pre-programmed now. I was like, no, that's not what I want to say. This is fun.
I know. I'm not even going to know how to act once Chef Conf is over. It's like it's been the entirety of my time here at Chef, so I don't even know what it's like after Chef Conf.
It's called preparing for the next Chef Conf, I think.
Got you.
Yeah.
So probably. We live life from Chef Conf to Chef Conf.
Yeah, probably because we'll be preparing for the next one for next year, I guess. Because fingers crossed, all things well, we'll be in person next year. Is our plan currently, or is the hope currently, at very least? Anyway, plans are probably a bit more firm than I think you'd probably call them. But yeah, hopes. We really want to be in person next year, and all things like if they continue the way they are right now, it's looking pretty good. Depending on which country you're in.
I was gonna say I don't know. Right here,
yeah, right.
In America, things are like.
Are they really?
Yeah, Delta is taking no prisoners.
No, we've had that fun, and it seems to be good generally. It seems to be okay at the moment. But we had the Delta variant. Yeah, we had the Delta variant a couple of months ago. Caught on quite quickly, and then our vaccination program kind of kicked in probably similar time as America's. But it doesn't seem to be. I've heard no rumors and no stats that scare me at the moment. But maybe I've been off Twitter for a week, so that might be the case.
Well, it seems like we get things after you all over there on that side of the pond. So, like, I remember hearing about the Delta variant in Europe, like months ago, and then now we have it. And it was like a surge, and then it went back down. I guess I didn't really follow up with what was going on in Europe, but I know we have it now. So
it's just really, really contagious. It's way more contagious than the previous variants. You've probably had one of our variants too. I think it was Alpha or Delta.
Yep.
I can't remember. It was
Alpha 2.
One of our variants. It was from somewhere in the UK that just mutated and then like spread like wildfire. And then that took hold. And then Delta variant came in, and we had all the other variants kind of just took a backseat to the Delta variant, just rampaging around the country for a few months. And there are other variants that came around the UK, but I just almost don't exist compared to Delta variant anymore. So
right, exactly. So at least the fact that you guys over there are, seeing some reprieve gives me hope.
Yeah, definitely. As when you were all flying out to Boston last week, and I was like, well, I could fly out there, but like things are changing weekly. It's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like you could fly here, but then what's to say that you're going to be able to go back? Like who knows?
I mean, at least we work from home. So if I quarantine from home, like I just then definitely can't go out of the house. So
yeah, for sure.
Mad.
But like there was a point when they were restricting international travel. Like so you get stuck someplace and can't go back home. You got a wife, kid. That's too much. It's too much of a risk. Although you would have had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, probably. I miss going to America. We were eating brisket last week. I said brisket last week. I've just finished eating the brisket from 2 days ago, and I was like, I really want to be in Texas again because Texas has the best meat. It's just good.
Yeah.
That and Cyprus, and Cyprus, a weird place to have the best meat. But yeah, I just love they do barbecue there, good. So I'm happy with that. Right, I'm going to do pre-flight checks. So if you are not following us on Twitter, we are at Chef on Twitter. You should just go follow us there. There's a whole host of really interesting. We've got a couple of competitions on there at the moment, and hopefully we may actually have we announced our hackathon yet? Because
not yet.
Really, really cool stuff in the works for that. So we'll keep stum on that one for a bit longer. But when we've announced it, we'll chat about it on here because I'm super excited to see what you people come up with. But there's 10 years of Chef Conf. We've been doing Chef Conf for 10 years. So there's
my goodness.
Prizes, yeah, it's mad.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's weird. I've been doing Chef Conf for Chef Conf for 10 years now, which is just crazy. I can't understand how it's been 10 years. If you're not coming to Chef Conf for sure, or you're not viewing Chef Conf for sure, you totally should. It's free and there's on-demand things there. Just chef.io/Chef Conf. I'm pretty sure the agenda's up now. Let me just go and find the link for the agenda. I'm going
to do a throwback. Be there or be square.
Conf. Where are we? There we go. If
you
just strip on the end of that /agenda and you'll get the agenda. I thought that was the case, but I didn't know we'd be talking out of my face hole wrongly. And if you are not on the community Slack, come and join us in the community Slack. We're in the DevRel room. I am almost always in the sous chef room. I may or may not have the general chat muted depending on how loud and frequent people are at the moment. But at the moment it's unmuted. But wow, the place is
it's lit.
It's
as the kids call it.
I think the kids around here call it peng.
Peng?
Yeah, peng.
Okay. I'm gonna go impress my my teenager with international lingo or international slang.
Yeah, I can't even bring myself to use the peng. It always sounds like it's a bad thing, and I'll be telling my brother-in-law, it's like, Ty, it's peng is a bad thing, right? And he's like, no, Dan. Also, Dan, you're too old, so it's fine. I am old now. So.
Look, the nerve of these young whippersnappers.
He can get away with murder.
Right.
We are going to do recipes to resources today. I've got a cookbook called Sensors. It's an old sous chef cookbook. In fact, I don't know how long sous chefs have had it. I'm going to suggest it might be a new one. Let me just go. How long have we had it for? I see. Wait, how long have sous chefs had it for? I reckon it might be this year. If there's a reasonably new one, that's just fine. And it's mostly got recipes, but there's a couple of things in there that sort of like scream to me. It's going to be a simple resource, so we're going to try and take that out of there. You can take this approach to pretty much any cookbook. If you've got there's usually like what Puppet called us. Puppet used to call I think it's a triangle, like the perfect resource triangle, which is there's an install, configure, and service resource. Usually have those three. So you set up a service by itself, and you configure the service using, like, let's say, sensors service, and all the sensors are dealt with like that. Sensors install, in our case, will be how you install it, and we're going to have there's two ways of installing it, via package or via something else. We'll figure out that in a second. And then there's ways of configuring it. So usually, in our case, it'll be creating directories and templates, that kind of stuff. So you'd like to split that out into its separate three constituent parts. And I'll get rid of my Chef Community Slack banner at the bottom now, which is fine. And before I jump in, if anyone's got any questions on the way, just throw them into the YouTube chat or the Twitch chat, and we'll see them and we'll respond to them. We're going to respond to both channels at the same time, and we'll probably call out your questions. So fire away with any questions, because we love to have questions, and I'm pretty sure I did a quick run through this a second ago, and Kaya's got some really interesting questions as a person who hasn't written any, I don't think, or it's been a really long time since you've been doing Chef Infra. So we are going to go.
And then when I did, it was like when I was in Chef, it was so high level. Like it was so high level. So yeah, this is all new to me. I'm excited to learn.
That's cool. I am going to right. So let me just share my screen, and let me just do a picture in picture and put our faces at the bottom. So we've got the Senses Cookbook, and at the moment it's got some recipes here. They're edited because actually I've deleted some text that I didn't want because it's just random comments that aren't helpful. So here we got a default recipe, and if anyone's come across me before, you'll know I really don't like the magical default recipe. Hey, just install sensors. How do you install sensors? Well, I'm just going to include the cookbook. What, sorry? Yeah, and then it will just configure and figure it out yourselves. That's really nice if you don't want to know what the cookbook does. And you don't want to take control of anything. You just want the things set up. Me personally, I like to know when I'm configuring things wrong. If you've ever got to tune things, it's really then like hard to get things tunable. So in this case, how we tune them with recipes is using attributes. Again, if you've met me, I hate attributes. I will demonstrate to Kaya in a second why I don't like attributes. But actually, here's just a service name. So element_sensors or -sensors. If it's platform family Debian, then it's hyphen if everyone else is using underscores. Again, I'm just getting rid of the license because actually it turns out the license is the same in every single file, and if it's not different between all the files, then it's all covered by the same license thing. So I'm just deleting things we don't need, which is fine.
So basically, hi, my name is Dan. I hate attributes.
I hate attributes. And if I can get rid of recipes at the same time, I'm even happier. Because, so for this particular use case, we've got a application library cookbook, and we just try to install a cookbook. Sorry. Yeah. Install a some sort of service on a computer, or we're trying to install some sort of program, really. It's not like an application that you own, or you're not trying to compose, let's say, a web server where it comprises of, like, let's say, the census package, the kernel packages, like the file system stuff, and then the template resource, and then Apache as well. So you're not trying to. This is just one small constituent part of a system, one pluggable thing. So you see here where we've got the template resource. So what we want to see really is we want to come out with, like, I want to install the census package with like census install or something like that, or lm census install. Like that's what I really want to do because I want to know that I'm installing it correctly. That's a really quite a common pattern that we've come across in the previous years. So it's being kind of explicit and obvious about what you're doing. And again, the default recipe is pretty helpful in some ways, but it's not obvious. So where do I start? Probably the default recipe. So we've got, let me just go from the top, and it's got some sanitizing names. Also, we just implicitly stuck in data from databags. That's a really nasty pattern because if you depend on databags, and I'll explain again in a second what databags are. If you do something different based on if you've got a databag or a vault item or something else, and you have a different behavior, then that's just nasty and hard to debug for the end user. You say what I really like to do is say, let me just go here. So lm sensors install package resource, something like that. that would be the simplest recipe we could do. And then what we want to do here is, I don't know, if we, it's the package name maybe, or the data bag item. So sensor config actually. So this is a great actual item. So normally sensor config equals something. That wants to be in a config resource. So again, we've got it in the wrong place. So lm sensors for config, and it doesn't really matter what we call it. So let's just go package again. Then config resource. So instead of having like a specific data bag item here with like a set of keys and hashes, we would say like whatever main board is. I can't remember. Main board. What is main board here? This is also when we're not doing the config resource today because I'm going to get in a very deep dark hole.
Okay.
So like let's just say option 1, option 2 here, and then like this will be like foo, and this will be bar. That's one way of doing it, or you can just have a config. So actually, if we're going to do what we're going to do here, so config, and then we would just say get the config from the data bag item. So we've specifically said grab the data bag item, which is just a thing we can. It's really just a hash again from a server. Just it's a non-versioned sort of non-versioned piece of information on the chef server, and we can say the config. You just grab the hash from the server and bundle it to this config item. So this way, if you suddenly don't like using data bag items, I don't care because I don't know that you're using data bag items. I just know you've given me a config hash, or you've given me a bunch of config information here, which is fine, and I'm happy with that. I don't really care. The cookbook shouldn't really need to know or require people to have particular behaviors. So if I don't like data bag items, then I can just say, actually, I'm not going to require data bag. I'm not going to call the element sensors config block with a data bag. I'm just going to do this instead. I'm just going to write out the hash manually. That way, it's shipped with the cookbook, and then I can version it as well. This may or may not be the way you want to do it, by the way. Both ways are valid. And also, I say, actually, the config for this is secret. We can then pull this in from a secret source as well instead. So actually, this decouples us slightly. Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to ask a quick question. So does the config on line 13, does it is it the same as a config on line, or sensor config on line 9? Or because I'm trying to figure out when that was declared.
So I haven't declared it yet. This is just me sketching. Cool. Me talking absolute rubbish, basically.
Okay, cool.
But it's just a property we could set on the LM sensors config.
Okay,
item,
that makes sense.
Which we may make one day. But actually, I've just spelled the word package wrong. Oh, that's annoying. So we've got the LM sensors config resource, and it just takes a config block. It just takes a hash. Give me a bunch of options. I don't really care what they are.
Right.
You can load them in via a data bag, or you can use a vault item or something like that. So you've got some way of passing. You've got your data source here, and then you've got your resource here, and instead of this is the ideal way of doing it, decoupling those two things. If you want to, where we got it right now is actually we've got it tightly coupled, and you've got to use data bags, which is not something we want to use really. But let me just let me just stop talking rubbish, and let's go and get the install LM sensors. Let's see what that does. So we've got install element sensors there and install IPMI there. So what's the book called? It's just, and I'll explain why in a second. Pretty sure it's called sensors. Yeah. So it's going to be called sensors underscore install. And we're going to pass it nothing because we're going to let it have its. No, we're not going to pass it nothing. We're going to pass it a service name. And that's going to be node. It's going to be this. And again, I will explain how I got there in a second. So we're going to replace this line here with this line here. And that will, at the end of the day, do the exact same thing. So we'll just do that sensors install, and then we'll do the same thing there. Sensors install. And I'm pretty sure IPMI doesn't require us. No, that's fine. Doesn't require us to set a name or anything like that. So we can just do sensors install. Ideally, actually, it'd be like install sensors package or something like that, but actually, this is less confusing. So that's kind of sketched us out from like a user perspective. This is how I want to use the thing.
Okay.
So let me just tidy that up, and that's the install thing. This looks like a configuration block. So I would maybe be tempted to change this template for a config resource at some point, and then pass in all the correct variables that way. So sensors install is a thing we need to make, and how we make that, just right click new file, and it's called resources /install.rb. Now it's not called sensors underscore install.rb because the first part of the resource name is picked up from the codebook name or the codebook where the thing resides, and then it gets an underscore, and then you get the install thing. So that's how we get install resource. We then need to go and set a property called service name. So set the service name, and it's a string type. And property name default. And that's going to be a string, and then default is going to be, I can't type default again. Default is going to be blank. And that will allow us to mode true. Now, before we write anymore, I'll explain that. Mode is the thing I've been yabbling on about for a couple of months now. It just makes your resources a little bit nicer to write. The compiler converge phases are merged together. It's required for Chef 18. You need to specify it for Chef 17 so you can be true or false. In Chef 17, in Chef 18, it's going to be default to on. And property service name is what we were talking about before. Of this allows us to set this thing within the resource. So if you think about scoping, I'm in the service resource. Sorry, I'm in the install resource here. I want to be able to grab the service name and use that property. Nice thing about properties, custom resource properties over node attributes, you can't set types on node attributes. So this one is a string. It can only ever be a string. You can never pass me a number. I will give you a big fat error if you give me a number. Attributes don't have the same niceness there. You've just got to make sure that you've done the right thing. It's just harder to be debug, but most of the time it's probably okay. So name, service name, and that's probably going to be it. I'm going to action install end. And then what does the install things do? So we're probably just going to grab this. And maybe we'll do, so I need to, so sensor config. Interesting, so we can do this. Sensor type. So out of here, we've got, and this is going to be another way of like sort of flipping the resource on its head, or how it's installed, or how we use it. So here we based on the sensor config type, which is either LM sensors or IPMI, we do a different thing. If it's LM sensors we're dealing with, then we do something else. We install it in this particular way, and then we use this template. And then we've also added collect D to our node. Then we do add the collect D plugin. This also makes me squirm, but also like, hey, if you've also installed the other thing on the system, then also include this other plugin. What I would really like to see here is just an option on the install to say install collect D plugin. So
yeah, that would be more
go. Sorry, yeah, I'm just.
What is it? What is that word? Intuitive.
So I can say collect D plugin true or false there, and that would then just enable or disable that. I would actually put that on false by default. That's the thing. But so let me just see. I think I won't get rid of that for now, but I'm going to get rid of this one. Don't worry about it for now. So type element sensors, and then we're just going to do that here. That could be IPMI. So the service name is a string, and then we want property, and his says type also a string, but we can do equal. Stop being very helpful. Equal to percent %w open. I think it's that way. I'll box that in a second. IPMI and LM sensors. IPMI, IPMI and LM sensors. Great. Then we do when new resource when IPMI when you can see this kind of like behavior I've been doing a few times. Is we capture just this logic in the resource thing itself. So element sensors there. Sure. Try to just have the custom resources homepage open permanently. Custom resource. Come on. Right, no, it's the other end. No, I was right the first time. That's fine. So all this means is that if I put IPMI or LM sensors in as the type, and I can also say it's required. True, then it's got to be we've got to set the type. So action install KC IPMI LM sensors, and then let's just go grab the LM sensors stuff. So package service, and execute. Grab that, and then base it in there, and that will give us everything we need. Apart from well-formatted code, of course, because that would be too hard. Then node.service name will just be new resource dot. I'm going to require that because if you're using IPMI, it doesn't require it at all. So IPMI, we just. So we've kind of squashed that recipe, and that recipe down into this install resource because the install resource is doing a little bit more than installing right now, because if we are using the element sensors, we'll refactor this at some point in the future. We do some service stuff. So enable and start it, and then that's pretty much it. This is basically the long and the short of it. Is hopefully now I've got out of this resource, the install resource there, name, service name, type, and then we go to element sensor, so service name and type type is IPMI. And there's a config, actually, there's a config block for some of the collect D funny. This is interesting. So I would probably think if there's lots of collect D stuff going on, I'll probably have like a collect D config, or maybe just bundle, like remove all of this into a collect D section. So we're not managing sensors and sensors plugins or sensors collect D plugins. Also, if you're not using collect D, then like why would you want to use that resource? What this all means really is, if you don't want to use a default resource in this recipe, you could just call the sensors install by itself, which is kind of cool. And there's a bunch of other stuff there. And hopefully, if I do kitchen list, by the way, KL is kitchen list for me because I type kitchen list too often. I'm too prone to typoing. Verify buffer infra. So if I do KT test 18.4, so test kitchen, if you're wondering, has some nice sort of regex in there. So I could just type in 18 actually, and that would it would just select Ubuntu 18.4, which is pretty cool. Hopefully, it will actually pass. But I didn't test this before I broke the cookbook, so yeah. If it doesn't pass, what? Sorry.
So you breaking cookbooks over there?
I mean, I'm always breaking cookbooks. I had a poke at the Docker cookbook earlier on. On my branch, it's definitely broken, but there's the Docker cookbook is really cool. Actually, there's some really interesting stuff it does. We wrap the Docker Ruby gem, which is a nightmare in itself, with Docker images, Docker image prune, and a bunch of sort of Docker commands that we can run. So there's some really interesting couple of patterns in that cookbook. But those patterns were made, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, before custom resources were probably a thing, and definitely before partials were a thing. So there's a thing called resource partials, which are reasonably new. And those resource partials give us the ability to, if you've got the same resource properties that you set on 6 resources, then we just say, oh, we'll just have a partial that we can add to all of them. And that wasn't a thing a few years ago. And so this is written before custom resources was a thing and before partials were a thing. So I'm kind of getting it to a point where it's a thing. That's interesting. I don't think I shall see here, client finished with 0 resources update in 2 seconds. Pretty sure the tests aren't set up correctly, which is a thing for another day. Because I could definitely fix that. I can get on that rabbit hole today, but we are not doing that today.
Not today.
So, have you got any questions about why the heck I would do this, Dan? Because I see there's a bunch more people in the chat room, actually. And if anyone's got any questions about custom resources, moving from recipes to resources, or, I've probably done this more times than is healthy. If you've got any more questions about that, then just fire away. However, if you haven't got anything in the next couple of minutes, then we'll probably drop off and go and record Kaya's talk, which is super cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. But yeah, I quite like moving between resources to recipes. Are really, really cool because you get to think about how the cookbook works and how it interacts with each. So that default recipe just did everything. There was services installed or set up, and then there's also the configuration and like how do you nicely expose the configuration. So with this thing, let me say there's a template here. Like great, there's template, but the census config is set up with a data bag item, which there we go. And this is so what does a data bag look like? This is a data bag. So IDs, descriptions, chips, this kind of stuff. So these are valid sensors, data bags. Notice how nothing's documented. Like I don't know what this means. I don't know what that means. So really, in my head, I would say right, I've got a set of chips, which is an array. So I have a property called chips on my config resource maybe, and that's just a hash, array of hashes there. IDs and ignores, and it's probably a gnarly way of doing it. But there's you could probably think of a nice API for it, really. And I guess that's the thing is like, how do you make using the cookbook much nicer? And how do you get people to, rather than spending 3 hours trying to figure out how a data pack should look, or in the case of the Docker custom resource, actually, how do you make it so that those are devices? So devices was an array of hashes, much like that chips section there. Turns out, actually, arrays of hashes are really hard to say, hey, you've got your hash in the wrong way, or your array doesn't look like how we expect it to look. So actually using arrays of hashes is really nasty. It's necessary sometimes because you're just like, well, I don't know what all the config options you're going to give me. That's kind of like a get out of jail free card in my book. Like if you can't figure out what the API looks like, just put a hash and then we'll or an array of hashes, and that's fine. But if you have got an API that you can guarantee is going to look like, hey, I've got an array of chips, and that's it. I've got a list of ignores for something like that. Then you can give good examples and good error messages back, and that's a really how do you make the user experience nicer? we did the same thing for HA proxy actually. So the HA proxy cookbook was just, hey, just give us a hash and we'll figure it out. Which I used it once and I was like, this is terrible. Like, I don't know whether I've got the hash right or wrong. So let's just fix that. And
Right.
I think that might have been like the one cookbook where we changed the API a lot and got a good response back from the users and say, actually, yeah, this now makes way more sense and it's easier to use, which is the goal of sous chefs generally and custom resources and in a general perspective. Say, like, how can we make all this easier to learn? Because like, none of this stuff is easy, so if we can make it easier, that's even better. I think we've got no questions. Let me just double check YouTube.
Is the YouTube chat like different from this Restream chat?
I'm gonna double check. I'm pretty sure it's not. No, it's not. Check.
Oh.
No.
So are there questions on YouTube? I'll
there are not.
Oh, okay.
But I think we're going to call it a wrap at that, which is pretty cool. It was nice and easy to do this one. That was
yeah, it sounds a good one. Thank you.
I didn't go over the node attribute precedence, which I'm okay with actually because it's a gnarly little subject. Maybe we could go over that at some point in a stream by itself.
Oh yeah, we could probably like dig into those. I actually Googled it, and it seems like there's like a lot of, I guess that could be a stream in and of itself.
yeah, maybe just dig into that at some point, or we'll try and. So we've only got the next. So we've got August planned out. We haven't got September planned out at the moment.
Yeah,
so maybe we'll do it in September at some point, which would be pretty
Oh,
cool.
if you all are in the community, drop some ideas in the community Slack for stuff that you would like to see a stream. Because
so we're doing lots of habitat stuff and inspec stuff and chef infra stuff. So if you've got anything along those lines that you're like, well, I don't know how to go and do this, or if we see any interesting questions, actually, we'll be doing another one on policy files soon. I need to brush up on my policy file stuff knowledge because I think I've used them. I've not used them in anger too much, and there's some deep dark holes you can get to put policy files to be pretty sweet. So I want to be ready for those questions. So that's one of them. We're doing policy files in September, and we'll be doing, I don't know, maybe attributes, and we'll figure there's some. Maybe I might do a thing on the Kubernetes. Is it controller? Kubernetes and Habitat, basically, because I want to go and use Habitat in my Kubernetes cluster because I am a weirdo. And I want to go see if that works. There's some interesting Habitat stuff I want to do. So maybe I'll do that as well. Because I don't expect anyone else wants to go and do that, but I'm like, I really want to go and get my Habitat ring set up for my Kubernetes cluster because I want to just try and jam it in there. Really.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. Probably do that near the end of the month. I guess that's going to be an interesting one to. I'll probably break my cluster several times at that point. But that's a plan. Yeah. But if you are not there, we'll see you on Thursday for. We're talking about inspec on Thursday. In fact, what is it exactly? It was. It's just our inspec 101. So if you've got any beginner questions or maybe intermediate questions on inspec, drop on Thursday about the same time. So BST, we're 2:30 in the afternoon till 3:30-ish. Like Eastern, what time is it Eastern? It's 9:30 in the morning, isn't it? 9:30 till 10:30.
9:30, yep.
Yeah, Eastern. So join us next week. We'll be next week. What am I on about? Join us on Thursday. For our inspec focused sessions. We'll be doing. We'll probably be grabbing a little bit of inspiration from Learn Chef at some point as well. So if you haven't seen Learn Chef, it's just learn.chef.io. That's where all of our learning tracks are. There's one on building custom resources for Inspect, which is there's some interesting stuff there. Or Inspect or Kubernetes, because again, I want to go play with my Kubernetes cluster and see how that all ties in, which is pretty sweet. But until next time, catch you later.
All right. Catch you later.